The Fragility of Power, a statement of growing up in Scientology. Power thrives in darkness, in silence, and in the obedient compliance of those it seeks to control. In Scientology, this dynamic is amplified to grotesque proportions, where authority is not just exerted, but worshipped, enforced through fear, isolation, and systemic destruction of dissent to any challenge. The more it reveals its fragility, the more it exposes its impotence. For those of us who grew up in this environment, we lived as children under the iron fist of a system that proclaimed itself invincible, yet was terrified of the truth that we carried in our hearts. We were children told that we were adults. Our emotions were labeled as aberrations. Our instincts suppressed as our reactive minds. And our natural vulnerability exploited in service of a doctrine that demanded unquestioning loyalty. The so-called power of Scientology, with its sprawling bureaucracy and self-anointed elites, was always deeply insecure, caught in a trap of its own making. The violence it inflicted on us as children, the neglect, the trafficking of our innocence, and the obliteration of our individuality were not an act or a sign of strength. They were desperate acts of a system terrified of being exposed for what it truly is: weak, hollow, and dependent on control to survive. This is what Michael Foucault so brilliantly articulated. The more violently power reacts to resistance, the more it exposes its fundamental impotence. Scientology's obsessive need to silence critics, to retaliate against whistleblowers, and to erase the voices of those it harmed, reveals not strength, but vulnerability. Its overreaction is its tell. Its inability to allow even the smallest dissent is its Achilles heel. The organization cannot tolerate resistance because resistance exposes its lies and punctures its myth of invincibility. As children, we were the ultimate threat to Scientology's authority. not because we wielded any power, but because we represented the truth it could not face. We were its forgotten. The kids sent to the Sea Org at 10 years old, handed brooms and quotas instead of books and dreams. The ones abandoned in Scientology hotels, told to fend for ourselves, stripped of the love and protection every child deserves. The ones made to work grueling hours for pennies, convinced that slavery was our sacred duty to help clear a planet. For many of us, resistance was impossible. How do you fight back when you're not even allowed to exist as a child, let alone as an individual? How do you question authority when your parents are complicit? Safe pointed into paralysis by the very doctrine that was harming you. For too long, we were trapped in this system of control, made to believe that the violence done to us was normal. But the deprivation of our humanity was somehow a sign of progress towards climbing up an invisible bridge. But here is where Scientology's fake power begins to unravel. The very existence of those of us who refuse to stay silent, the ones who survived, who speak, who resist, it is a direct challenge to its fake, corrupt authority. And the more it reacts, the more it lashes out with its predictable toolbox of fair game policies and character assassinations, the more it confirms its own weakness. Scientology cannot stop the truth because the truth is what it fears the most. For those of us who grew up in this system, our very survival is a rebellion. Our voices, our stories, and our refusal to stay silent are the greatest acts of resistance that we can offer. And the more of us who speak out, the more the facade of Scientology's power crumbles. To the children who didn't survive, to those who were crushed under the weight of this abusive system, who were lost to despair, to unthinkable trauma, to lives stolen before they could even begin. We carry your memory as a rallying cry. Your pain is not forgotten. Your lives are not erased. Every word we speak, every injustice we expose is a testament to you and the truth that power cannot erase us. Scientology wants the world to believe it is omnipotent, but we know better. Its power is a performance, a desperate act to cling to control. And like all performances, it cannot last. It's already unraveling, coming undone. by the voices of those it sought to silence. To those still trapped, know this: the system that holds you is not invincible. Its violence is not a sign of strength, but of fear. And to those of us on the outside, let's keep speaking, keep resisting, and keep dismantling the lies. For every child lost, for every childhood shattered, we will not stop. Because power may pretend to be unshakable, but the truth always finds a way. We are that truth. No more kids in Scientology. Thank you.